What's up? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we have a lower unit in front of us, and Bert has a story he'd like to share.
Well, the story is when you go to buy a boat, check everything. I should have checked the gear case oil. I did not. I took the guy's word for, hey, my mechanic checked out the boat. He took it in Lake Osborne, ran it for a couple hours. Everything's good. Well, the motor ran fine. It does. It runs great. But when you run a lower unit with not enough oil, it tends to make metal. And we did. So I should have checked it, but I didn't do it. When I did finally check it, found it had made a bunch of metal, stuck to the magnet on the drain plug. So we ended up having to buy a parts motor. And I was lucky enough to find a parts motor I got for $500 from a nice kid up in Vero Beach that had a good lower unit. We could have rebuilt this one, but it takes some specialty tools that I do not have. So I kind of like weighed the parts that we'd have to buy, the internals, and the price of a used lower unit. So we went that route. And now my $9,500 boat is at 10 grand.
Well, that's boating. Let me ask a couple of questions
Sure.
about that, because just for anyone who's new to this or doesn't know anything about, boat people know lower units and that it makes total sense. But for a newbie, it may not. What you're talking about is there's oil that goes between this shaft and this 90-degree shaft down here.
Yep.
There's the splines
Right.
for both of those shafts.
Yes.
Need lubrication oil.
Constant.
This one didn't have any in it, and those splines got chewed up.
It had some in it. It just didn't have enough.
Okay.
As it spins around and the oil gets dispersed through the lower unit, it needs a certain amount of ounces to keep everything lubricated, and it did not have enough. So
when you're checking for this, and when people are going to check buying a boat, outboard engines and stuff like that, what they should look for is, you said there's a magnet on a screw, right?
This lower unit, it's actually over on this side here. This screw right here, some of them do, some of them don't. If you buy one that doesn't have the magnet on it, Amazon sells them. Get it, put it in your lower unit. It's just a good thing to have. When you do change your gear case oil through the year, you can monitor what's going on in your gear case somewhat. Yes, if I would have checked it, that would have been. I still think the lower unit was already trashed by then, because he told me his mechanic ran it for a couple hours in Lake Osborne, and if that is true, then that much material was lost. You were going to have to rebuild this lower unit. But it could have been a bargaining chip. If I still wanted the boat, it could have been a bargaining chip to purchase the boat. But it didn't do that. So.
Well, that's why we are doing this, so you don't have to make these mistakes.
Yes.
While we do. And we'll also, I'll see if I can find any of those screws that have the magnets on the end of them for the lower units on Amazon. I'll see if I can link to some of those below. If you don't have it, I'm sure there's like model dependent stuff, but I'll send some like Amazon stores down below for anything like that. Anything else? What else on impeller, all that kind of stuff? These are all things they should check too.
The impeller, when you're there buying the boat, I should have pulled the drain plug or asked the gentleman if I could have. You got to get the owner's permission. If they won't allow you to do it, that could be a red flag. You might want to say, As far as checking the impeller, if you fire it up in the yard, it's pumping water. These things are pretty robust. They're, that's not a make or break whether it needs an impeller or it doesn't. That's a yearly thing that we do anyway to these motors. So the impeller is not that critical. Compression, gear case oil, those kind of things, and overall how the motor looks shows is a ton of corrosion in where where gasket seat and stuff like that's really what you would be looking for. But as far as the impeller, that's not that critical. But the gear case oil, yes.
Well, check your gear case oil. And don't do this.
Yeah, don't do this.
But what you should do is you should subscribe. And if you like this kind of content, please leave comments, tell us about any stories that maybe you've run into when buying old used engines and horror stories that you've come across. And I don't think that we will be doing this again without checking
No,
gear case,
I definitely
gear case oil.
And the thing is I knew better.
Well, you know, it happens to us all. So what are you going to do? But thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for sticking around for this whole video. If you've watched it this far, you obviously like it. So please do hit that like button and subscribe. And we'll see you guys in the next video where maybe we're fixing stuff instead of breaking stuff.
Yeah, hopefully.